All right, well, it does look like we've got some big rumors coming out of the Republican Party over the past few days, with Ron DeSantis considering potentially dropping out. Now, he's denied this, of course. DeSantis dismisses rumors he would drop out of the presidential race after the Iowa caucus, saying it's a total lie. But behind the scenes, there's been talks with DeSantis, his numbers worse and worse and worse, possibly dropping out. I don't think it's going to happen after Iowa. Maybe after Super Tuesday is when I would expect DeSantis to drop out. There's a lot of strategy, I'm sure, going on behind the scenes, but the most interesting thing is DeSantis' potential plan to drop out and immediately endorse Trump. Because the thought is that if DeSantis drops out, a lot of that vote that was going to DeSantis would go to Nikki Haley. Well, if he endorses Trump, it'd be a little bit different. Taking a look at the Iowa caucus right now, which is coming in less than a week, you do have Trump a massive favorite, sitting at around a plus 36 spread, with DeSantis pretty much tied with Nikki Haley at this point, although Haley has really shot up in the polls in the past month or so as the true establishment choice. A lot of money going to Nikki Haley and her campaign from establishment Republicans, and DeSantis at this point kind of kicked to the side. You do have Vivek. I think Vivek will do a lot better than people think, just because he's campaigned in Iowa so much. He outnumbers everyone in terms of events. I think he has more events total than Trump, Haley, and DeSantis combined. It's a great work ethic for Vivek. The issue is, if you're voting for Vivek, why would you not just vote for Trump? As long as Trump is in the race, it's going to be very hard for Ramaswamy to really make an inroads. The question is, when would Vivek actually drop out? It's kind of a weird situation because there is the Trump legal thing. You know, what if something happens to where Trump can't run or gets disqualified and then Trump endorses Vivek? Then Vivek possibly would be a favorite, maybe against Nikki Haley. That's why I think it wouldn't make much sense for DeSantis to drop out immediately, especially also considering these poll numbers are not horrifically bad for DeSantis in Iowa. They're a lot worse in New Hampshire. But in Iowa, in 6 days, he should at least get around the same amount of delegates as Nikki Haley. At least that's what I would expect. And then you do have Chris Christie, who I think is going to immediately drop out after New Hampshire. That's his big state. He loses that, I think he's done. And also he's siphoning votes off of Nikki Haley, because Christie is not a fan of Trump. He wants someone else to be the nominee in the Republican Party. By running, it's actually hurting the biggest chance they have of that, which would be Nikki Haley somehow beating Trump. It's extremely unlikely. And then you do have Asa Hutchinson, which is just a complete joke. You would think he would drop out maybe after Iowa. Maybe Hutchinson goes after Iowa. Christie goes after New Hampshire. Then I would expect Vivek is kind of a wild card when he'll drop out. You know, kind of a situation where Trump, with his legal stuff, you're going to want to wait. And then you do have DeSantis, who I think probably will drop out if everything continues the way it's going, trending a little bit down in the polls. I would say after Super Tuesday is when DeSantis would drop out. That's just my opinion on that. But there are rumors that it's going to be happening soon. Either way, we will see. I don't think it happens after Iowa. I would expect the competition would really be Nikki Haley versus DeSantis in Iowa. Who's going to perform better? That's kind of the intriguing thing, with Trump expected to get over 50% of the vote, and that's also very important for Trump. If they all galvanize around each other, which it's looking like they're not going to do. There's also establishment Republicans, by the way, that are now backing Trump, and the reason that's happening is because he's up by such a ridiculous amount. Everyone within the Republican Party very likely is just going to fall in line behind Donald Trump and support him against, we would expect, Joe Biden, although there's some questions obviously surrounding Joe Biden. Faced with an unenthusiastic Democratic base, 3 in 4 Americans say they are seriously concerned that his age might affect his mental and physical competence, and poll after poll showing him losing to Trump in a head-to-head matchup. Biden is betting on his opponent's shortcomings rather than his own strengths. This was an interesting article that I saw a few days ago. Could he really drop out? Just last week, a Republican pollster said that it's still a possibility that Biden might drop out. People have asked me this on live streams, and I've said at this point, with how late in the game we are, it's very unlikely. I mean, I look at gas prices being very low. I look at the situation right now with cryptocurrency, the stock market, possibly. They had great years last year. They're looking good this year. Biden's going to use that. The Democrats are really going to use that. I don't see, considering we're this late into the game, them making a switch. Now, certainly that's always open. I really don't think Biden has much of a say in it. If they want Biden to drop out, I'd imagine he would drop out considering his age. And there's always the obvious excuse. Biden could just say, listen, I'm not as sharp as I once was. I'm very old and I have to drop out, I'm not going to run in 2024. That's really all he would have to say. There has to be a chance, because in the end, if he loses to Donald Trump, that will be his legacy for the rest of time, and I don't believe he will want to be known as that individual. Democratic elites are worried about whether Biden is up for the job and are increasingly saying the quiet part out loud. On Saturday, according to the Washington Post, Barack Obama grew animated in a conversation with Biden when voicing concerns about the re-election campaign during a recent visit to the White House. So you've got Obama now calling Biden angry, animated, pissed off. There really does seem to be a lot of fighting with the Democrats right now, at least if this report is true. And we'll have to see what happens when it comes to Biden possibly not running. I mean, theoretically, it is only January, but at a certain point, there's a cutoff date to where the risk doesn't really become worth it when it comes to propping up somebody else. And then the Democrats also have the major issue with Kamala Harris. The only reason Kamala Harris is the vice president is because she is a minority woman, and we know how unlikable she is. They can't just put her up. So how do you, as the Democratic Party saying we're open to everyone, we love minorities, how do you skip past Kamala Harris, the VP, if you're going to get rid of Biden? How does that work? It's almost like impossible to do that. So it's like you're stuck with Biden unless you really get people angry and say, listen, we're going to, technically they did that in 2020. They nominated an old white dude, which is really hilarious when you think about it, especially the way they did it, basically forcing everyone to drop off on Super Tuesday to make sure Biden would be the nominee. Now, looking at the overall odds to be the Republican nominee, you can see right now Trump at about a 78% chance, Nikki Haley in clear second place, but all the way back at 16, and then you do have DeSantis around a 7% chance, along with Vivek. So Vivek sitting with similar odds as Ron DeSantis. DeSantis continues to fall lower and lower, and the overall odds point that out. Nikki Haley doubling up DeSantis in terms of these betting odds right there. And then Chris Christie, a complete non-factor. Who will win the Iowa Republican caucus? Trump around a 92% chance. DeSantis, sitting around 7 or 8% chance. The betting, it's a little bit different just because it's odds, and then Nikki Haley all the way down at a 2% chance in terms of that. And then who will finish in second? So this will be important for DeSantis. The idea of him dropping out possibly after Iowa. He's sitting right now around a 57% chance to finish in second. And then Nikki Haley sitting around 37% chance, with Vivek coming in third. And then Trump, obviously, he's expected to win the Iowa caucuses, so he's all the way down at an 8% chance. But overall, I would say DeSantis, because of the amount of money that's been spent on his campaign, he's going to at least make it to Super Tuesday unless he gets serious pressure. Although it really doesn't line up, because originally my thought was that the Republican establishment would really pressure DeSantis to drop out and endorse Nikki Haley. It doesn't seem like that's happening. Seems like if he's dropping out, he's going to endorse Trump and try and do a redo possibly in 2028, try and get back on MAGA's good side, which is a lot of the Republican base. So we will see. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.